Boa tarde. Good afternoon. Hello, everybody. So, very welcome to the T4EU Science Café at Fundação Livraria Lello. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all for being here, to being available, to be willing to participate, also to walk, because we've been walking quite a lot, so willing to walk, it's good. And because without us, especially in this case the students, your participation is essential to create a meaningful and engaging discussion on the topic. And what is the topic? Heritage as a bridge. Then there is a long name, but just keep it that way, heritage as a bridge. So, but before we start with the topic, so a small presentation of the panel. And I start with Rita Marques, so former president of the Livraria Lello Foundation, to whom we thank you very much for hosting, as very positive stakeholder of Católica and also of Transform for Europe, and member of the board of trustees of the foundation, business consultant, faculty member of our competition, Porto Business School, in the University of Porto, and many things, including Secretary of State of Tourism, so that's why we walk around the place. So then we have Maria Aguiar, so lecturer from the School of Arts at the Universidade Católica Portuguesa, that has played part in establishing the school's Department of Conservation and has led this conservation to the municipality of Porto for many things. So, and Irina Siruskoka, sorry. I like to learn. I don't know if I can add, but I like to learn. Director of the Center for International Education and an associate professor in the Department of Cultural Studies of Mariupol State University in Kyiv, Ukraine, reallocated to Kyiv in 2022 due to the Russian aggression against Ukraine. Specialized in personal and professional intercultural training, the development of multicultural teams, and effective intercultural negotiation. So if we need someone to make us understand, we talk with you. Okay, great. So myself, I'm Francisco Mendes Palma, so I'm the institutional coordinator of T4EU at Católica, economist, and someone that likes to talk a lot. So, about the topic. And I'll shut up very quickly. So I just want to make a bridge, talking about the bridge, that our first Science Café was in June 2024, also in a foundation, but in Lisbon, Gulbenkian Foundation, and the topic was, is war repairable by culture? So I could say that we did it on purpose. No, it's just by chance that coincides. So, but sometimes luck happens. So, and that was discussed by Christine Gresser from the Saarland University and Isabel Capello-Gil, director of Universidade Católica Portuguesa. Today, we are talking about heritage as a bridge, or is a bridge. Is a bridge for freedom, is a bridge for understanding our backgrounds, and also to create path to the future in order to, like, offering creative roads that want also, or should also be creative. So that's what I wanted to say. Being said, sorry, let's talk, and we start with Rita Marques. The Lello Foundation mission, or at least one of them, is, and I quote, like that is in your mission statement of the foundation, it's time to ignite the desire to imagine and create, choosing books as the great social equalizer and platform for prosperity. A future where reading transcends mere act, becoming an inspiring source for actions that foster a more inclusive and culturally rich society, contributing to social prosperity. How is a library a bridge?
Well, first of all, I don't know if it's working. Yeah, I think it's working. First of all, thank you for having me today, and thank you for visiting the monastery of Leça Balio. It's really a pleasure. Thank you, Maria, for... where is Maria? Okay, she's the connector, a true connector. So she's the one that called me in the first place. Well, the light is green, so I guess that's something is working. Okay. And thank you for that, for being a connector. I think it's important. You know, we're talking about bridges, heritage, but also, you know, to stress, to highlight the importance of people making the connection, right? So thank you for that. And well, going back to the question, but before that, hello. It's wonderful to have you here. We were just mentioning, you know, 5 minutes ago, we were referring to the fact that we are 3 ladies and 1 man, so we'll beat you, basically. That's.
I can do that. So.
I know. I'm just teasing, because usually it's not normal, right? It's not normal, unfortunately. But I see a lot of women over there, so thank you for bearing with us as well. Well, about the question. In fact, the bookstore, so I guess that for those that are not Portuguese, and I understand that there are a lot of people from international, other international settings, or international mindset and coming from other countries. So there is a bookstore, a very well-known bookstore in the city center of Porto, that's called Livraria Lello. Livraria stands for bookstore, so in Portuguese, Livraria is bookstore, and Lello is the name of the first owner, the first family owner. And in fact, it's one of the biggest, I would say that it's considered to be, well, the most beautiful bookstore in the world, let's say. It's a kind of a marketing claim, so it usually ignites attention and curiosity. So the marketeers sort it out well. But at the end of the day, what happens is that a couple of years ago, the bookstore was really in a shaky position because they were not selling books at all. In fact, 10 years ago, they were selling 70,000 books a year. 10% of the people that were getting into the bookstore were really buying books, because most of them was just, you know, looking at the walls, because it's a wonderful monument. In fact, it's a national monument nowadays. So at the time it was not a national monument classified as such, but now it is. And so back in 2015, there was a family that bought half of the stake of the company and decided to change the business model in order not to save the company, because it was pretty much into an insolvency scheme or insolvency stage, I would say. And it changed the game at the time. So what happened is that 10 years after, the bookstore itself is not selling anymore 10 or 70,000 books. It's selling 1 million books. It's the third, if you consider the ranking of the places that are most visited in Portugal, it ranks number 3. So basically, we are talking about a space that has 300 square meters. So basically, it's very, and it has a very bold mission, is to consider that everyone that goes into the bookstore, they are readers. We want to sell books. So basically, we want people to read. That's the mission. And the reason why I'm referring this story, I'm sharing this story about the library or the bookstore, is because 2 years ago, the family, the owners, decided, well, we have this wonderful bookstore, it has a wonderful business model, but it's also really important to create impact in the communities, local communities. So they bought this place, a monastery. At the time, it was already a national monument, so this is a national monument. And they created a foundation that resembles somehow, or that resonates with the library, with the bookstore. But we say it's, I would say we have a bolder, bolder claim than the bookstore. Their mission, the bookstore mission, is to put people, you know, to give people the conditions to read, full stop. And here we want to give conditions to people to read the world. And so the connector, basically, is to read the world, is to foster critical thinking, using, of course, books as a mean to foster critical thinking, but also heritage, and giving the opportunity people to come here, to visit our expositions, to, you know, to listen to our talks, to contribute as a citizen, active citizen, in order to foster society and to introduce more prosperity in our society. So, in a nutshell, that's pretty much our mission, you know, making the connection with heritage, making the connection with books, and creating the conditions for people to think about what we can do in this world in order to leave it a better place for our children as well, for the next generations.
Okay, Rita, thank you very much. So, I think it's easy to understand. The bookshop is a bridge. You mentioned monuments, so that are physical, tangible realities. So, sometimes, at least for me, when we speak about cultural heritage, the main thing is heritage, so more intangible reality that is reunited into culture. But most of the things are tangible, and they have a material. So a material that has to be taken care of. So heritage is not only about ideas, but also about material techniques. So I asked Maria, like for introduction to this topic, how does techniques contribute to the future, and how would we lose this cultural heritage if we don't take care of these assets?
Well, I also would like to say hello to this panel, to this lovely panel, and also, well, I think we lose knowledge in the end. I think the most important thing is that materials and techniques show us a lot of things. To start with, I could say they could not rehabilitate Notre Dame de Paris if they did not know how to do it. So it was really important to still know how to carve wood, how to construct with wood, which wood they would choose. So immediately after the fire that was in 2019, immediately 2 days after, it was decided which forest in France should be selected to start again the construction of the roof. And they decided that only craftsmen that knew how to work with the traditional techniques, with tools, ancient tools, should be allowed to do the reconstruction. So I think it's amazing work, only to still know how to do it, and many techniques are being lost because they are not practiced anymore. And so documentation is really important, and that also is a bridge about books, about documenting, about finding ways for the future generations to know how people cope with the challenges, how could they build enormous cathedrals, how the knowledge was there, and how people now think they are very smart to do amazing things. But the human mind was already a very sophisticated mind. So it's really important to understand how civilizations and cultures have a deep knowledge, and materials only show us that if we ask them, and if we try to interpret it, what it's there. So we need to also ask the right questions. And so I think there's a lot to understand about materials and techniques, even for the future.
Yeah, so I'm going to do something which is ask the audience. Did anyone got excited, like, to participate in these techniques? Like to look at a stone and discover that it has, I don't know what, to look at the wood and so on? Anyone? Okay, so why? No, you raise your hand. So you got excited on the topic, so...
We're all raising our hand.
Yeah.
Because I do think the knowledge, or like the skill is within all of us, but maybe it needs the inspiration to start trying how to activate those skills. So I don't know, that sparks something in me that there's a deep interest in seeing what I can do if I'm being instructed to do it. Yeah.
So Maria, anything more like to make them more excited with this?
Well, there's a lot of excitement, I should say, because materials gave us a lot of information, a lot of data. And now that we know, we are dealing with artificial intelligence to do much things, also replicas, copies. So art market is full of false forgeries. And so also to get the right information about an artist, what he used it, how he used it, what was the creative process, is a really relevant aspect to have a fair trade. And so we need to help also to provide that information for all the people that are involved on creating and also selling and buying. So there is a lot of excitement and also a lot of stress, of course, in this process. But it's also another aspect that's relevant.
Okay, so anyone more that want to apply for a kind of job of reconstructing churches or something of the kind? I believe those ones won't be replaced for artificial intelligence, so it's a good way to have a pay at the end of the month. So, okay, so following this one, and Irina, yes, we also talk about serious stuff, not that the previous one was not. Your university lost everything. How is heritage? How will you recover heritage to the future?
Well, thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm Irina Sikorska. I'm from Mariupol State University from Ukraine. Well, I apologize in advance if I will talk a little bit of sad stories. But first of all, and prior to all, I would like to say thank you for, as far as you mentioned, from there's bridge between cultures, that these cultures are bridged and international, I guess, relations and partnerships, thanks to Alliance Transform for Europe. Turning to the question, what are you transforming? We are transforming ourselves prior to anything else. So, and of course, University of Católica, because, well, I think we are all becoming, well, dear friends through the partnerships within the Alliance again. While speaking about the ruinage of the university, well, the question is difficult. Also, yes, we lost premises. You could imagine that if you ever heard about these tragic sites, particularly tragic sites during what happened to some particular places in Ukraine, Mariupol is one of them. And so the city was almost ruined and the university was ruined. So we lost premises, we lost infrastructure. To our big sorrow, we lost our colleagues and students. But we didn't lose what matters. We didn't lose our community, our, I don't know, spirit. And now I can say our strengths. We've been survived. Life in Kiev is not easy at all. But we are together, and this is what we, through these hardships, through these dire times, we are to understand what really matters, what education matters. Books matters. We miss our libraries, which university has to have had in Mariupol thousands of books, and some of them are rare. We had a wonderful collection of the books in Greek language, because Mariupol, speaking again about the bridges and the multicultural setting, in Ukraine, there are some particular, again, cities which were marked with multiculturalism. And Mariupol was one of that, because while it was a home for Greek minority, these are people not from Greece, but they were originally from Crimea. And you could imagine the fate of these people who were forcefully migrated in 18th century to Mariupol, to steppe area. And so what is important, what is nice about that, so you could imagine that they develop their culinary, their traditions, their rituals, and the language, linguistics. And now they speak, I wanted to say spoke, they speak a very particular dialect, which now are considered as rare linguistics in Europe. So we are trying to preserve and to keep it, to document it. So this is that we, I think, not that damaged so far.
Thank you for sharing and like your testimony and like the story of you and your colleagues and friends. Everything that you said brings back a little bit for what Maria, which is, and we will be there, which is the reconstruction, so of the heritage. Let's just talk about the physical stuff, so like the tangible elements. Maria, what would you suggest as a roadmap for the reconstruction of a university, in this case, completely destroyed by war?
Well, I think I cannot speak in tangible vectors. I think it's really how to get people thinking or have critical thinking without having, I think it's important to have a place, but not the physical place that can be different from the premises, of course, but to have a way of connecting each other. So I think it's how to get people again to speak about the questions that are essential in this time. And so I think university is only providing a mental space. So a mental space doesn't need a physical space. It needs to find a way to still build knowledge and to still comfort the spirit, because it's the mental that it's important.
And so, Rita, apart from like giving your inputs on this talk, how do you see books in this intangible atmosphere?
Well, first of all, after listening to Irina, it's really hard to focus on what we have been discussing, honestly, because this type of testimonies are really harsh, and we should be lucky, feel lucky, because in fact most of us have not passed through those dark times that you have been living through. So all my strength to you. Going back to the question, in fact, books are windows for other lives that sometimes we cannot have because we don't have the means, we don't have the relation. So basically what I'm trying to say is that books not only preserve the heritage, the story behind us, what past generations try to, record in these books, but also are windows for freedom, for dreams, for stories that we cannot live because we don't have the means or the conditions or the people, the right people next to us. And so I guess that they are windows or bridges to freedom and to the dream. And I think, this fosters really our hope in the world, honestly, and I see it like that. So they are an asset, tangible asset, but at the end of the day, we are collecting memories that we can write down in a book, in a diary, maybe. But at the same time, we open a book, we open a window, we walk through a bridge to a richer or a pinker, a brighter world. And that's pretty much the experience we would like our visitors to have when they are in the bookstore, Livraria Lello, or here in the monastery. And let me just go back, because I think it's important why we select this place in when we had the chance to buy this place. In fact, there are a lot of monasteries in the country. There are a lot of castles in the country. So everything that relates to our past, and fortunately we do have a lot of assets that could be preserved and could be the headquarters of Livraria Lello Foundation. But the reason why I selected this place is not because it is well known in the books world, not because of that. In fact, the reason why I select this place in the first hand is that because we have a lot of visitors that are pilgrims. We are next to the St. James Way. So basically, for those that are not here from Portugal or from Portugal or Spain, we do have Santiago de Compostela in Galicia 300 kilometers away. And there has been a tradition since old times, you know, people going to Santiago de Compostela by foot, you know, challenging themselves, not because of religious matters, maybe because of religious matters, but nowadays most people that are pilgrims and that go to Santiago de Compostela want to surpass some challenges. They want to, you know, they look for freedom, mental freedom. They believe in the connection, you know, trying to do the St. James Way sometimes by themselves, alone, but they want to connect with people, to mingle with people, to have this experience, return to the basics, basically. And the reason why I select this place in the first hand was because of that, because this was a monastery. It is still a monastery, but at the time it was a monastery very well known for these pilgrims that were heading to Santiago de Compostela, and that were having here a kind of support from the monks. So the monks that used to be here were providing hospitality. The word hospital comes from hospitality. So basically people were having some injuries in their feet because they were walking a lot, and they were stopping here and were getting some treatment from the monks that were not medical doctors, and this type of treatment is the type of treatment that we can get with books as well. So that's why, you know, I'm trying just to justify why we are here today. And not only to, you know, to support Irina and to give strength to Irina, but also to somehow to grab this huge responsibility that all of us have as citizens, you know, to pamper each other and to take care of each other while we are trying to challenge ourselves as well in this life. And that's pretty much the motto that I would like to explore here as well.
Rita, thank you very much. Before passing to Irina, we talked about here three things. So about books, material, and Ukraine. Anyone wants to know something about it? Can make a question? Or to share some of your experiences in one of these three topics? Or add another one? No? Feeling desperate nowadays at these moments, but fine. So we turn this around. So I would ask and start with you, apart from like commenting whatever you feel like it is. And this is a question for everybody, for the three ladies, which I'm very glad to be with three ladies in the stage. So I'm a man from like in the world of women. So I've been long history with that. So. Coming back, not to get lost, is what challenge would you propose to this audience? So, and then Rita, and then Maria. So this is homework. Like, see, this is homework. So for the course.
It was not planned. Well,
in 20 minutes we are so efficient. We got everything in 20 minutes, so I have to keep on like creating some more alternatives.
Well, read books, paper books. Go to the library, and nowadays it's really a challenge just to get away from TikTok and whatever they offered us. Yeah, because well. This is the best what humankind could create, and to transmit from one generation to another. Well, we keep writing diaries in our dire times, but just to not to forget. Because, you know, nowadays our memory is tricky. Well, you remember whatever happens to you many years ago, but you can forget. This is, they say, a side effect of mental health. But problem. But still, you don't need tragic times. But you need to have this challenge to be aware of the humankind heritage, either books or arts, and travel a lot, learn this heritage from culture to culture and bring your culture. Ukraine unfortunately, Ukrainians were not, especially the older generation. Could you imagine that 80% of Ukrainians, especially the eastern area, never left their region? Could you imagine? Never traveled. So their world was through books, hopefully, or through the TV, which turned out to be a bad practice. So by traveling, and so nowadays we are learning, how to be ambassador of our culture and our country, and tell the story that you could bring back to your home, and not always what the TV said and shows you.
Should I follow? Oh, it was for all of us.
Okay, that's a question. Let's take it.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I was curious when you talk about your unfortunate situation. I didn't understand how did you deal with it. You had your physical institution being destroyed, but you seem like you still run the university. Did you change to and move to a safer place? Do you have like online teaching? Because I am intrigued to know how could you survive after such disaster. How are the students being provided with the teaching still? I wanted to know more about it.
Well, thank you so much. I didn't even be aware that this information is needed, because, well, from that the battle, the actual combat is on the east of Ukraine. These heavy things, and actually which started with a full-scale invasion, and so 36 universities were relocated. It means, of course, not physically, but they were relocated to the premises which were offered to them by the government, or in our case, that was the university in Kiev, which just had premises. They didn't use it. And so our university, we have just 4-storied building, but thanks to fundraising locally and internationally, this building looks pretty well. But of course, all the process is online. Because, well, not because we don't want that, but because our students are across the country and across the world, across the world as well. So this similar situation with all the displaced university in Ukraine, online, unfortunately. My students are just happy to be together. I never saw such happy faces, but they to be together with the students. It means, again, you never thought about that before, that how wonderful it is, the student life. So for us, it's a challenge. We don't have it.
Thank you for sharing. Rita, the challenge you would propose like to the audience. I don't know if anyone. Okay, now then next question. So we do like this, 1, 2.
When I look at you, I see very young people, much younger than myself, or than me, or than us. So the homework cannot be done in 1 day or 2 days. Has to be done in several years, I would say. I'm a mother of 3. They are all asking me stuff, right? TikTok and mobile, latest model, whatever. And what I dare you to do is, if you have one of these days sons, daughters, nephews, I don't know, tell me, to read them, to read the story, to be a mother reader, to be a father reader, and to have 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day with them, helping them out to understand how can they be better than us. And it's something, it's a small investment from our side, but that has a huge return, I'm pretty sure. Much greater than a latest mobile phone, for instance, or the latest model of a bike.
Sometimes, you know, my kids are always teasing me and say, okay, I need this, I need that. But maybe we just need 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day with them. So this will be my homework for you. I try to also to use this rule as a routine for myself. And I guess that I'm happier that way, and I hope my kids will be happier as well.
Thank you, Rita. Maria, your challenge.
Any question?
Yeah. Great, thank you.
So, my exercise for you. As it is the Heritage Week, I recommend that you consider yourself an heritage. So I think it's important for each of you consider that you are really important. What important in heritage is people. Buildings and sites does not have a relevant role without people. So I would really like for you to consider your identity, your culture, and build a better Europe. Consider yourselves the future of building bridges across Europe and learn to each other, but also not stick in the bad sense, but take your culture with you and open your mind with others. And we really need to believe in Europe. We really need to have hope in this crisis, in these worlds, and we need our young generations to believe in it. So do not lose hope. Crises are always coming, but there is always a day after the crisis. So consider yourself as an heritage that needs to reinforce the strength in Europe. Questions?
Yeah, questions. Please, no, like roadmaps for these challenges. So, okay, if there are no questions, before thanking everybody, so in the stage and to the people who are in the audience, I do also have a challenge for you, which is write a postcard with a real stamp to someone. So, just that. In Portugal, you can do it, and this is to say, in other countries, you cannot. So this heritage, it's not a book, it's a postcard, it's a material and all that. It's a challenge, believe me, it's a challenge. So it is. So thank you very much, also to the Lello Foundation for hosting us. And we are just in the middle of the week, so be prepared for the rest of the week. Thank you.
Eu já fiz essa peregrinação por causa dele. Vai-lhe mandar.